How's it going?
Hello. Hey, what's happening, mate?
Not too much. Sorry for the delay.
No worries, man. TVP is your weakest. Are you happy to work on that today?
Yeah, that's totally fine. I've actually been kind of strong against TVP right now, but I think it's just situational strength, just bad matchups. So yeah, I definitely want to get going on TVP today.
Okay. Well, I've got a 2-minute delay, so it's going to be hard for me to find someone. Do you have a practice partner? I've already put the word out.
I do not.
Okay, cool. So we're basically going to be looking for someone as much as we can. We've got a bunch of Diamond 1 Zergs. I'm like, no, guys, Protoss. So we could focus on TVZ as well, since that's
I
not
wouldn't mind
much
diving
of
into a
a...
TVZ since we have the resources available.
Zerg is okay too. Zerg Diamond 3, we can do that. TVZ or TVP will be training. Oh, you know what? I haven't updated my stream title, even though I had all that little downtime. We should let people know what sort of coaching they're doing, eh? The Terran players will be... Oh, quick, let's get in here. Coaching, TVZ and TVP, Diamond 3, go, go. Cool. What an exciting stream title. Events already turned off on Team Liquid. That's good. Fantastic. That account name? Yes, yes. People will be getting surprised. Yeah. Don't look it up, guys. It's bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
The internet's an evil place. It's dark.
Definitely bad juju.
Bad juju. Don't be anti-Semitic, mate. Come on. Jesus.
Not quite that kind, but...
No. Alright, so we are in pink 2. Let's see if anyone's there. I cannot get rid of delay while still live, guys. That's not a thing. So we're waiting for people to open a chat channel, Pig 2. Can you host up a map, mate, and
yeah, sure can.
invite me in? Make sure you're in channel Pig 2. You already are. So, guys, the way you join a chat channel is you go /join space Pig 2. And we fucking get in there and we do it, hey. While we get someone in, what's been going on? We gave you 1,000 different mechanical things. Have you been doing a little routine each day? How's it felt on ladder? Have you lost every game? What's been going on? What have you stuck to? Have you made any changes, first of all? Is there anything you said, not gonna actually focus on that?
The only thing I really kind of neglected was the camera hotkeys. I try to use them when I can. I think I may have set them up wrong. But I mean, that's to be determined. But other than that, I've been trying to focus on everything that we worked on last time. Like 20 minutes a day, I do the hot select, the copy delete. I've been doing that just in like the blank match make, like we were talking about. And on the ladder, yeah, I've taken a small dump, but it's nothing nothing too bad. Again, I think it's just situational player. I've been doing really well against Protoss, but I think it's just bad matchups more than anything else.
Okay. Have you been sticking to the hotkey write-up?
I have.
Yeah?
Yeah. So I've been sticking to the hotkeys. I've been sticking to the command keys as well, as far as like the army commands, army placement. Yep. I added one for workers, so I've been doing one CC, 2 workers, 3 army, 4 secondary.
So all your workers are on 2, did you say?
Yeah.
Oh, what's that for?
Just in case I have to move them really quickly. I've just been like kind of throwing them on there, and I can separate them when I need to.
Okay, that's a good thing to do when you realize you're being cheesed, is to like grab whatever your front base of workers is on a control group, or if it's
kind of been like that recently. A lot of cheese. So I think I've just kind of I've honed in on that. So I've had
but you said you've put them on number 2 now, right?
On number 2, yes.
So what's your main army been?
Main army is 3.
Okay, so that's
secondary army's 4.
Okay, so where's your production?
Production's 5.
All right, can you fix this list in the document then?
Yeah, I sure can.
Just make sure that reflects what you're working on. We don't really need a dedicated worker key, so I would say my advice would be like, if you think about it, 2 is the most valuable real estate. To use that just for workers seems like a waste, right?
Yeah, it's the easiest reach.
So wouldn't it be smarter to use that as our main army and then just use your secondary army key as those workers, because that's only useful in the beginning of the game when you don't need a secondary army key. So your
This is true.
SCVs can actually be replaced by siege tanks or widow mines or liberators later in the game, right?
Exactly.
All right, so I would advise working on that. And that's why I think it's important whenever you with your hotkeys, if you change anything, it's really important to sit down and double check your thoughts on that and make sure you don't, you don't change things without thinking it through first, because it's really easy to just kind of haphazardly make a small change here, and then end up with like a really weird kind of setup. Oh, sorry, I actually just so there's a few people in the channel actually. Once you've got that written out, we can do that.
All right, and I have the game hosted. Let me get you in here.
Yep, and shoot the invite to the guys in the channel as Chili Spice and Smiles willing to help
Chili
us.
Spice.
Someone's asking, what about the match for TSL? Yeah, that's tomorrow, guys. They split it over 2 days. Okay, cool. So, have you shot them invites yet?
Yeah, I shot Smiles and Chili, right? Chili Spice.
So we got Smiles in. You can put Smiles up for now. Chili Spice should be getting in now as well. Should be all good. Awesome sauce. All right. So other than that, okay. So you make sure you stick to that. So your production never changes. That's on 4.
Yep. Production's
CC's
4.
on 2. Okay. All right. So you've still been using your CC method a little bit, right? Because you're not used to the camera. Now you mentioned you might have set up your camera hotkeys wrong. So what specifically is going on there?
Whenever I try to toggle the hotkey, it seems to just kind of jump to somewhere I'm not placing it. So I think I just set up the toggle incorrectly. But I'll go ahead and check that out on my own time. That shouldn't be a big deal for me to figure it out. I just haven't sat down and done it.
Yep. Make sure it should be really easy to fix. So fix that. Hotkeys.
Put that at the top.
So if you go back before we start, you've written worker on number 3. Keep that as secondary army. It's just
Okay. Secondary.
we can write in brackets workers at the start of the game. But so I've done it here. You remember you rewrote it up here, right? Oh, actually, did I?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. All right. So yeah, just make sure we think of that as secondary army key, and that should be good. Awesome. Okay.
All right,
So
let me note that real
TVZ.
quick.
Currently, we previously. So you've been really not organized with learning builds, and you've been making a lot of stuff. So basically, there's a few things with trying to figure out how we want to play. You're learning new mechanics. It's totally okay to play a completely wild style while learning that, and just in general when we're improving. I remember you had said you wanted to learn more macro focused play and that sort of stuff. You can still, play a kind of Bly style of StarCraft where you have a lot of range, but you're still overall kind of wild and aggressive and all about trying to take advantage of your opponent rather than sit back and perfect a standard style. There's different approaches to StarCraft. And I think, honestly, it's about what we will find invigorating and fun. Because even when you're being a more aggressive wild Terran, you can still refine your basics while doing that. You can still execute a few seconds faster, right?
Absolutely.
So what interests you and excites you? Is it to be a very solid, do the same thing every game with minimal reactions? That's like a real, it's a reactive player, but it's really trying to be very solid and standard with how we progress. And we're all about following a standard game plan and getting to the next step, which is the standard way by default I'll teach someone how to play StarCraft, right? Or is it continue our wild style and just get more organized with mapping out the little branches and the counters within the counters and how to react to situations and all the techniques for making the weird shit work, and just kind of go deep down the rabbit warren of, hey, let's find the advantages in the odd positions in StarCraft rather than trying to recreate the same game over and over again. Get comfortable in the chaos. Which one of those suits you more?
I think I would definitely rather go down the Warren. It's just more entertaining to me to play. And beyond that, I think the two things I want to focus on are obviously refining the gameplay within that random, sporadic style.
Yep.
But then also taking advantage of the early game harassment, things like that. I definitely want to apply a pressure to the opponent
Okay.
nonstop, and I want to focus on that and then be reactive to whatever they throw at me.
Okay, so we want to be aggressive. We want to be, interesting and fun styles, but still developing our fundamentals at the same time. Okay, cool. So in the past, you've done what? BC opening in every matchup, right? If I remember
Just
correctly?
about, yeah.
Okay, so what do we want to do here against Zerg before we get into this game?
I mean, generally speaking, it's just going to be like the BC Open harass, and then I try to transition to bio, upgraded bio towards like minute 6+. So I try to build up a stockpile of Marines as I'm harassing with the BC, and that works if I can get the Marines up. I mean, I have a hard time defending while I'm also applying pressure.
Okay, so are we doing Hellion BC? Like pretty
Just straight BC.
straight BC.
So
Okay.
so adding Hellions would probably definitely help with the dual pressure.
Yeah, so it's gonna be much more solid. Are we going bio tank or bio mine as standard? What do you
Bio
prefer?
tank.
So we want to go bio tank. Okay.
But I mean, I'm open to bio mine too. I mean, mines have definitely been far more interesting recently.
Going
As
into
I've been
bio
getting
is
my ass
pretty.
kicked by 'em.
Yeah, I mean either way is fine. The mines are definitely better in a mutilating bane meta. The tanks are better against hydras or roaches. Is essentially it.
All right, so,
But
so could that
usually
be
you want
almost
to choose.
a
Yeah. Sorry.
could that be like a switch out point then, depending on what they're building?
It could be. If you don't mind doing that switch, it's always good to have one as your default though, where you're like,
All
oh, I
right.
go for this, and then okay, if I see the other thing, I can swap it.
So definitely let's just start with tanks then. I think
Okay.
I'm more comfortable with using the tanks.
And then we can add a mine transition versus mutilating bane later. Cool. All right. That sounds like a pretty standard game plan. After it's like literally BC Hellion harass. So I mean, do you even know how to do a Hellion opening at all, or?
I don't.
Okay,
Interesting.
this is gonna be fun. All right, BC Hellion opening. I mean, yeah, because you don't really have any normal build orders at all. So this is so weird. Because I look at you and say Diamond 3, but we, like you said in the first session, we might need to rewind our expectations a bit whenever we go down any more standardized opening.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely ready to take that hit on the MMR. I'm just gonna treat this season as kind of like a restart.
Okay, so do you normally go a gas first or a barracks first? What feels more comfortable for you?
Usually barracks then gas.
And you're gonna be doing an SCV scout?
Yes.
All right, barracks gas plus SCV scout. We're going to go standard factory onto the reactor, basically. So it'd be Reaper, Marine, reactor, factory, swap over. Very standard opening and something we can kind of get into. Now, from there, do we want to do a 2-base bio tank all in off this, or?
That sounds perfect.
Okay, so that's going to be a way of just shortening the game and making it a little bit faster. It's a bit
Yeah, I mean,
weird,
I think
but
that's the kind of like the grand goal for me.
yeah.
Just get this over with in 10 minutes or so.
So 2-base bio tank, siege push follow up. So obviously, whenever you have a style, obviously we can add a lot more notes to this, right? But that's, I mean, I always like to have a notes thing below the actual build. So we might add things like, oh, after first wave, BC clears creep or something. Now, how many BCs are we gonna do? Just 1, 2, 3?
Probably 2. I usually use 2 and then just attack different angles.
Okay. At some point, clearing creep for your push path is a nice thing to do in between. It's not crazy high priority. It's just a bonus thing to set up for the push. And yeah, all right. Let's just get in game. I'm gonna let you figure this out completely on your own because it's hard to play with someone talking in your ear. So let me just message Smiles here. Yo. Can we get a few more people in, by the way, in case we need backup? So let's invite people and then invite them to party as well. Invite me to party, invite the others. There's a bunch of people that offer their services. So if we can get anyone else in, we'll see how it goes. So
dig them off the pig.
Yeah, you see, they're all chatting. All the people who said, "Oh, I'm Diamond 2, Diamond 3, Zerg." So we can just focus on Zerg for now. Yeah, in general, yeah, going straight BC was always, not having any Hellions or anything is always a little bit awkward. The 2-on-1 being the one build that wasn't like that with Hellions, where you do get, you know, a double drop going very quick. But all right, we're still waiting for Smiles to confirm that they are here. All right, thank you. Good luck, good luck. All right, Smiles is here. Smiles is ready. So
all right, ready to go.
Yeah. I've set a new macro build, so if this mother trucker proxy hatches you, it should be good. So like I said, I'm just going to shut up. It's weird talking in someone's ear. I also don't fucking know how you play. We didn't really get to watch you play. I got to see that your mechanics were all over the place, and we talked about mechanics for a whole hour last time. And we totally went through each one and worked on some new stuff. For now, just play. Try to get obviously the reactor swapped over the factory, build Hellions, get into your 2 BCs. From there, you're going to swap into very standard 2-base production, right? Because we're not building a third CC. We're going 5 barracks, a factory, a starport, marines, tanks, medevacs. It's a real generic and simple kind of attack to finish things off. Anyways, good luck. Get into it.
All right, sounds good.
I was talking to him, so we're going to forgive that SCV not building for a solid 15 seconds at the start of this game. Let's see. Let's see. Game 1. Practice. Can you hear me, mate? We have successfully muted game.
SCV ready. SCV ready.
He hosted Zen by choice. Holy shit. It's a weird map. Okay.
SCV ready.
All right, let's pause quickly. Just hit the pause button on your keyboard.
SCV.
Game paused.
All right, so we're already doing a double gas 1-base opening. So this is going to be super duper wild, right? We can still do that, but if we're going double gas 1-base, this is really got to be doing Bernie Car, Hellion run by damage as much as possible, right? Like this is going to be so slow into that 2-base all in. We can make it work, but I guess we want to choose how far down the weird we want to go, right? It's kind of interesting because, I mean, at the moment, your default has just always been to rush battle cruisers really quick. If we look at your old build order, you literally wrote, you just get your old build order. You said you actually got a command center usually before getting any gases with the one before we started coaching. So you would expand, go 2 gases, go 4 gases, and then go for a tank and then go for BCs, right?
It just depends on the variation. Sometimes I do the early BC. Sometimes I do the early CC. Just kind of what I get from the scouting. If I feel like they're holding out on me doing 1 base, I try to get that BC up as fast as possible. And if they're 2 basing, I usually just take more time building economy.
Right. Okay. So this is a really common thing, which is being massively overly reflexive. So you've just said you kind of prefer to go 1 base or a quicker expand based off your scouting.
Yes.
Your scout will never verify what they're doing before you commit one way or the other, though. So
Generally speaking, yeah. Yeah, because I'm already pretty much set in the way of, like you said, going that 1 base quick BC with the double gas.
yeah.
Like right now, it's just a force of habit.
Yeah, it's a funny thing though, right? Because it's like this is very common in a lot of players I coach in Diamond League. Diamond 3 right through to Diamond 1 is players want to react to everything. There's no solid baseline play. It's I do this if I see this, I do this if I see this. But a lot of the time I go, wait, you've already committed one way before you get that information. In a lot of your games though, players go, oh yeah, I guess I do actually do this thing. So a bigger thing of what we want to do is we want to bring what we're doing into the conscious realm a little bit more. And we want to go into the game with a bit of a better idea of where we're coming at the game from, right? The best cheesy shit is where we understand our situation so innately. We know exactly not just what we want to do when we see a scouting tell, but how to get there. Whereas the problem you're going to find with the variants that you've naturally got here, with some games going double gas, some game expanding, and not really doing it off any set tell, is you're going to get a little bit tangled up with what's needed for your transitions. It's not going to be consistent and clean because you're always doing it off a slightly different opening, a slightly different situation.
Yeah, and that's definitely even evident to me, right? Transitions have always been like the hardest part of the game. That's why generally, if I don't end the game in 10 minutes, it results in a loss.
So we need to define that beforehand. So if we want to do a one base, we can do this, but I want this to be your standard. So as we work, what we're going to do, right? Because we want you to keep kind of out there styles that have fun harassment and let you be aggressive and let you dictate the pace and enjoy the fun units. We also want you to get consistency with those things. So a lot of people think being aggressive means you've got to do a different thing every game. Fuck no, you're not playing a best of 69 against the same player. It's almost always a different player on the ladder. And even the ones you've just done the same build on usually aren't going to do any better the second time. They need a lot of goes before they figure out how to counter your build properly. So it's something where we want to choose our baseline strategy for each matchup, and I want you to stay really focused on that. So I want us to choose our strategy, our opening, and have it super defined and set in stone. So what we're going to do after this game or after another game is we're going to work on you writing your builds out, because it's the most important thing for you to bring that into the conscious realm is like, all right, let's write out this opening in super detail, and from there map out the game plan. So you're not going to write down every detail of barracks 5 goes down in 4 minutes 52, but you'll go, okay, then we'll work our way to 5 barracks, 2 factories, 3rd command center, blah, 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 right? It gets looser as we
order
go.
of operations.
Exactly. And at the early game, it's exact supply, exact seconds. Later on, it's much more just that's the production on 3 or 4 bases, and this is the general push that we want to kill our opponent with. So, do we want to do this one base, or do we want to work on a faster expand? Which one do we want to do as the standard? And both are completely safe and solid. It's just up to what you want to do.
I think I'm more comfortable with the one base, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we have more options if I do go 2 base.
For sure.
At least against a wider variety of opponents. So I think we might as well just work on the 2 base. It's going to give me the most versatility.
Okay, cool. So let's say GG will restart real quick. Sorry, I can't type to you guys in game. And then we can tap out and host up again. Just say GG re. There we go. Awesome. Obviously, the 2-minute delay, it kind of sucks because Smiles is always going to be 2 minutes behind on the stream whenever we're just talking like that. But just host up again. And yeah, just do the command center expand version of the build. Yeah. Because you're going to be going Hellions, you'll normally very easily scout aggression coming and be able to react with, building a bunker and a tank and that sort of stuff. Getting out a Banshee rather than a BC if you want, just to get a bit of a unit out that builds 20 seconds faster, that sort of stuff. But yeah, as long as they're ready.
All right.
Okay.
You look good.
Go. I think they should be. They joined the lobby, so just go. All right. So like I said, I'm going to shut up, let you do your thing. Hit that expand build. Still doing SCV Scout. Kick ass. Hellion BC into a 5 racks factory starport. Buy your tank all in. Good luck, mate.
Thank you.
So the cool thing about the opening is we can always plug it into a different follow-up, guys. We don't need to stick with the 2-base bio tank all in. But it's just nice to have a very contained follow-up plan that is so simple, rather than all the details that go into making a 3 or 4 base onwards play work. Yeah, you can't remove delay. You go to, yep. All right, so let's pay attention. Did he actually build his depots on time? His depot's a little late here, but not too bad actually. That should be fine. It's gonna be a few seconds of downtime there. Is that waiting for that depot to finish, but not massive. Already queued up the extra depot. Does have so funny that all of his workers just go straight on this army key. It's an odd habit. Where's the gas? What's going on? Oh, because he goes command center, then double gas, doesn't he? Let's watch this opening. I think it's going to be a shit show. I think it's going to be a really bad opening. I forgot that he goes for CC, then double gas. I think it's just going to be crazy late tech, and it's going to be a shitty opening. And I'll have to just walk him through from literal scratch. So yeah, we probably should have taken more time before setting up another coaching session. But he was keen to get right into one, so... you know, I'm always like, man, shit, I want to just tell him to practice builds and stuff, but we'll see how it goes. Oh, second depot and a gas. What the fuck?
SCV ready.
Oh, this is a terrible build order. All right, we can still gather a lot of fundamentals. Super late gas, second depot, way earlier than needed.
SCV
No
ready.
orbital, SCV scout queued up. SCV scout should be queued up, so you don't need to look at it.
SCV ready. This better be
Yeah, these are purely by field players. So the thing we know is this player is going to be incredibly good at certain parts of the game. A player doesn't have this shittily defined build orders without being very good at some parts of the game. So he's probably very good at being a dick with BCs, tactically, maybe has some good engagements. This is such a shit show of a build order, though. So I'm really going to have to just walk him through some fundamentals, because this is an appalling build order. Marine, Reaper, Marine, delayed factory, still no orbital. Just
ready.
massive lack of fundamentals. And he knew this when he came to me. He said, we need to go back to basics. It's good to actually see it, though, and go, holy shit, like, we're not even making an orbital right now? It's bizarre. The fact he's made it to Diamond is insanely awesome. So it means he's pushed his certain skills so hard, and he's probably improved in a lot of in a vacuum. I don't think he's gone on All Things Terran and copied a build order in his life. I don't think he's ever kind of really studied the very details of a pro VOD he's watched and tried to copy it. You can just tell he's kind of doing his own thing. And that usually means there are certain skills they will excel at, and other skills they will suck balls at. But they'll always be more creative, and they'll figure out how to make certain things work. What is this build, though? This is insane. Is this really Diamond? That's crazy. Yeah, he must be killing it with the BC harass, I guess. Maybe really good at setting up defensive walls as well. I kind of want to just cut it off and go through a new build order, because this is so
Queen's all done.
so average.
SCV ready.
Like, how does he not have an orbital yet? And why are we building a second
complete.
barracks? I'm so confused right now. It's just totally made up. Yeah. Okay.
SCV
Let's
ready.
unmute. Let's go. All right. Cool. Let's pause again and say. Oh, we didn't make me the ref again, so I can't pause. But can you pause the game again? So I can't do it.
Game
Can you
paused.
say, okay, thanks for the help, guys. We don't need any opponents right now. Basically, your build order is so weird. It comes from the Twilight Zone. It is the strangest and weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life, and I kind of
I
love
was
that.
definitely getting ahead of myself on that one. I was kind of bouncing around all over the place, like getting lost in the order. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh shit.
I was like, this
totally
isn't.
forgetting to do a bunch of things.
I don't even think this is your normal order, but like there are so many basics that aren't here that we just want to go over a build order from scratch. We're gonna hop out of this game and we're gonna hop in an empty custom game and walk you through a build order from scratch, because like we didn't make an orbital command that entire time. So there's like weird stuff like that. We walled off with a second depot and then went a weird gas timing and took our commands and everything. Like, this was just not a basic build order at all. And what this tells me is the fact you've made it to Diamond 3, and I know you normally play better than that. That was a weird game. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
But
no.
what we can know is we are at the level where we really need to work on your own play. So right now, what I just did is I threw you in against a sparring partner of a similar level. Thank you so much for offering to help, guys. No, we need to go back to basics. So, yeah, we're doing empty custom game build practice. So, thank you guys. So you can host up another game, but no, just kick these guys from the party, and we're gonna do it with no opponent. So what we need is the punching bag. So what we've just done is we just threw you in the ring for a sparring session. And you went in there and you didn't have your guard up the entire time. And I've gone, oi, out of the ring. Nope. You're not fighting safe at all. Let's go back to the punching bag. And that's actually really good, because the most important skill is refining ourselves outside of the 5,000 distractions in a game of StarCraft, right? If we
Yeah,
can
absolutely.
hone in on those little details, stand there in front of the bag and just punch it and work on our technique, that's really important. So just make me a ref. Now, you can always put a very easy AI in. I personally like to just click continue game at the very start and just do my build order with no opponent and 0 distraction. So right-click me, go make referee. And what you want to do is just practice the build order. Now, I'm going to walk you through the standard barracks gas opening 1-1-1. You can use this in all 3 matchups, at least for the very beginning phase. And we're going to walk you through the tiny details. We're going to suck at it at first. That's fine. Because it's weird with me talking to you, telling you to do shit. You're going to do shit in different ways. Start an SCV immediately. And rally that SCV to the ramp. Return to game. There we go. SCV, rally to the ramp. There we go.
All right.
Now that
Rallied.
SCV might be slightly late because actually of what we did here. You know what? Let's go out. Sorry, I got a really fucking janky overlay on from casting a team game the other day. Let's host
No
back up.
worries.
Why did that? Oh, it's just because there was no opponent. All right, let's put a very easy AI in. Host up again. Hop out. Put a very easy AI in. Apparently, the new game HUD interface bugs out when we don't have an AI. Never mind. So just so I could easily coach you, we'll use an easy AI. But you want to put them very easy and economic focus. So it literally does nothing. And you don't want to focus on it at all, right? We are visualizing what's happening on the other side of the map based on what we want to practice more than anything. So make them a Zerg, economic focus, and start that game. All right. So immediately start an SCV, rally it to the ramp, build a depot. Obviously have more SCVs queued up behind that. And then that depot SCV will build the barracks. The moment we start the barracks, we pull an SCV off minerals to take the gas. So, okay.
So gas right at the start of the rack.
Yes, right after the barracks goes down. So SCV, straight to the ramp. All right, awesome. So queue up another SCV straight away, and then we build the depot with that SCV when it pops out.
SCV ready.
And now rally back to the minerals. Queue up another SCV, of course, and then another one after that as well. So it's going to be a 16 barracks. Now, we're going to pause really quickly.
Paused.
Do you know what doubling up workers is?
No.
So basically, that's something we can talk about later.
I'll make a note.
I'm going to add details. This has nothing to do with a build order, but this is just a list of details to do with fundamentals. Do you know that your mineral lines, your mineral patches have different amounts of minerals?
Yes.
Okay, so basically, you have close patches and far patches. The close patches your workers mine from faster because they're closer, less time walking back and forth. Those are also the patches with more minerals, almost always. So if you make sure your workers are 2 to a pair on those, they just mine a little bit faster. So it's a thing you can do at the start of the game to make sure you're optimizing your mining. You also want to make sure that you're having 2 on each mineral patch rather than 3 on some of these mineral patches and only 1 on others, because obviously that also means more time just standing behind each other waiting to mine rather than taking advantage of another mineral patch that's not being mined. Does that make sense?
It does.
So always double up workers on close patches. We're not going to do that now. I'm just writing it down in your notes so you can go back to it later. For now, it's just going to be the build. But always double workers on close patches for optimal mining. Make sure you have 2 a patch rather than 3 on some, 1 on others. That's a cool thing we can talk about later. It's a cool thing to do here at the start of the game to optimize your mining. For now, so you've queued up an extra SCV to 16. Now your depot SCV should already be rallied to where you want that barracks to go, right? So we want to box him, tell him to right click over to where we want the barracks to go. As soon as that depot's done, we're going to place the barracks, grab an SCV off minerals, and build a gas geyser. So even if we don't have 75 minerals for the gas, we can right click it over to the gas. So it's standing right on top of it to start that gas the moment we can. Okay?
All right, sounds good.
Game resumed.
SCV ready.
More SCVs. And we can grab an SCV and go scout now as well.
SCV ready.
Queue up another SCV, or 2 in fact. And with your SCV scout, I want you to grab that. I want you to queue it to do a loop around their base and then to come home. So we want to queue that so we don't have to look at it ever again. So it goes through their base, comes back to mine. Guys on gas. So you can use the minimap for that, and you can do that a billion times quicker next time. So we shouldn't be late on gas because of that. Rally your barracks SCV to your natural and lower the depot in your wall right now. So that barracks SCV... Yeah, so we're going to go orbital. Cancel your SCV. You're meant to start an orbital right now. SCV goes to the low ground. Yep. You should always start an orbital and a Reaper. Reaper. The moment that barracks finishes, both of those should be hit. Orbital and Reaper.
Alright, so let's gas SCV to low, orbital.
Command
Reaper.
center. So command center on the low ground now. Alright. You're scouting SCV. Remember, should have just been queued to scout and go home, so we shouldn't have to look back at it. Build another depot in your wall.
Command center upgrade.
So now we finish the wall, and then drop a mule and build more SCVs. Got to keep that SCV production going. Okay, we queue a Marine. And the Reaper, obviously, just send that most of the way across the map. We're not actually going to micro it this game, but we should have just kind of control grouped that, sent it across. We can come back to it later. For now, start your factory, and then your second gas. More SCVs. Go. Yep. Second gas. All right. Reactor. Cancel that Marine. It's always Reaper, Marine, Reactor. Every standard 1-1 build. Lower your other depot. Keep building SCVs. Put guys on the second gas in the main. If you do this a little bit early, it's not the end of the world. It's better to do it earlier than to forget. So it's totally okay to do that. Now your factory SCV. That SCV rallies to your starport. It's going to build your starport. So you already tell it, hey, you go to build my starport, which is going to be just above that. Your natural, start your orbital. And now that your main is finished, we can rally both command centers, which should both be on the same control group, both on number, whatever number that is.
On number 1?
Yep. And both of those should be rallied down there. Right now, you've only got one command center hotkeyed, not both of them. You've got to add your natural to that command center.
Oh shit. That's just control, right?
It's shift 1.
Oh, shift 1. There you go. Shift 1.
Armed and ready.
Wait, you just added that to number 3. Remember, your command centers, they've both got to be on the same key.
Yeah, both go to 1.
Yeah, they've both got to be on that same key. That's so important. That's absolutely important. So we're going to write that down here for a sec. Obviously, a lot's going on here. There's so many little details and things. We're doing really freaking good right now, but we're going to actually stop and... Well, we'll give you another 30 seconds, I guess. No, let's finish and resume. Let's do it again. So let's go out, host up again, hop in, rinse and repeat. Now, you can do this in... there's like a salt build order tester mod and a few other things. Usually, they screw up the game timer. I prefer to just do it manually. Hop in, hop out, hop in, hop out. Maybe there's a more efficient way of doing it, but let's create game, go in one more time. And this was actually really good. So because we're going to focus on the Hellion version for TVZ right now, which you maybe can use in the other matchups. It really depends on your focus. We will do that. But make sure always adding production to control groups the moment you build it, right? So the moment you build the command center,
number 1.
Click the command center, shift 1. Build your factory, add it to the production key, click it, shift whatever your production key is, wherever you want that. Same with the starport. Try and get in that habit, and we're looking really good. So let's try that build order one more time. SCV immediately, and rally it to the ramp. Then queue up your extra SCV. So it's going to be 14 depot into 16 barracks.
SCV ready. SCV ready. SCV ready.
Beautiful. Looking good. Send an SCV scout when you get a chance. If you want, you can just rally it out or pull it off. But remember to just queue it on the minimap into the base and then back to mining at home. Put guys on gas straight away.
SCV ready. SCV ready.
Your SCV and your barracks should be rallied to your natural already. And remember, you've got to cancel this second SCV that's queued up because we're going to go Orbital and Reaper as soon as this barracks finishes. So there we go. Orbital and Reaper. Get rid of that second gas. Get rid of that second gas. Cancel that shit. Yeah. Remember, it's Orbital Reaper and then
base.
Command
Yeah.
Center. And then it's factory. And then it's depot, then factory, then second gas. So don't worry, I'll walk you through it. Yeah. CC. Let's get that CC down. All right, send an SCV over to your ramp. Lower your depot. And let's go Mule and SCV
Command
production.
center upgrade complete.
Command center rallied back to the minerals. SCV production. Yeah. Rally your command center back to your minerals. And we're going to go next up. Just send the Reaper partway across. Remember, when you box that Reaper, control group it.
Paused.
All right.
Little
Yeah.
habit.
Right away.
Yeah. Control group Reaper immediately, right? If you build a Liberator to harass, control group harass Liberator.
Just
Or
give it a
drop.
control group right away. It gets built. It gets
Yeah.
a control group.
Yes. So this is your only unit that needs a control group at the start of the game is the Reaper. It's the only thing you might need to double tap to jump to. So it's your main army, right?
Exactly.
So that's just something that's very simple, which is good.
Yeah.
if
So
you-
it's going to hotkey too.
Hotkey 2. Awesome. So, of course, what's more important than that right now is factory and second gas. So let's quickly go hotkey the Reaper, control 2, and then we're going to go factory, second gas, and start the reactor after this Marine. We should be looking
Alright.
good. All right.
SCV
Game
ready.
resumed.
This better be good. SCV ready.
Yep, second gas, reactor, lower the other depot. Keep building SCVs here. We're looking good. We are looking good. Remember your factory SCV rallies to build the starport. So we're already thinking that's what his job is. And we're going to put 2 workers on this other gas in the main.
SCV ready.
It's tech off of factory.
Orbital first. No, your factory
Orbital.
and your reactor will swap. But orbital on the natural. Get your SCVs back to mining. Rally it both to your natural. So ignore your production. Go to your natural expand first of all.
All right.
Go down to your natural. You need to make it an orbital and
sorry.
add it, and it should be added to your control group already. So remember, box it, shift 1. All right, swap your reactors and your factory around. Barracks builds a tech lab. Start Hellion production. Keep pumping out SCVs, and remember, as soon as your natural expansion is finished, select number 1, right-click it on those minerals. We need to rally the
Command
SCVs to
center
those.
upgrade complete.
Awesome. Alright, you can build a Viking out of the starport, or a Liberator, whichever one you prefer. Keep building Hellions, and
Add-on complete. Game paused.
forgot little cute detail. Factory SCV. So, factory SCV builds starport. What does it do after that? The starport SCV, it's the same one. It starts your depot production. So the way it works with any normal expand build, like I said, you can use the same opening in all 3 matchups, more or less, with very slight deviations. Because your command center is up quickly, notice you don't need a 3rd depot for a very long time. We haven't started one yet. We're at 36 out of 46. About 36, 38, 40 supply at the very latest, we need to start extra depots. This naturally times out with our starport that just finished. So that same SCV where we said, hey, you build the depot, then you build the barracks, then you build the factory, then you build the starport, then you go and become what we call a depot builder, which is we're going to need non-stop depots built from now on because no more command centers pumping up our supply, our production's ramping up, right? We're building lots of units. So basically, you've got to remember, basically, depot SCV builds barracks, then factory, then starport, and then starts depot production. Now, in this matchup, you always want to have a wall on your natural, right? So Zerglings can't run in. Starts depot production, wall off in TVZ, right? But the idea is, with a depot builder, you never send that back to mine. You know, you might build a bunch of barracks and queue the workers to go back to mine minerals. You'll never do that with the depot builder. You just come back and tell it to...
build depots.
Yeah, just keep that going. And at some point, he'll get a friend. Once we get up to about 2 base full production, 5 barracks. So for now, let's just start a depot on our natural, start off a wall off, and we can continue this. Looking good?
Game resumed.
SCV ready. Ready to
Nope.
raise some hell.
So
Oh, you
remember,
wanted the natural, right?
we need a wall off, yeah.
SCV ready.
It's okay to build them in the main, but if you do try to build them somewhere else, it should be fine. All right, so now we've done the opening. Keep building SCVs. Keep dropping mules on your natural. Bam, bam, bam. More Hellions. All right, looking good. Always drop your mules on the newest base as well. So along with doubling up workers, always drop mules on your newest bases to avoid mining out and losing available patches for SCVs to work. So you should always try to move that to your natural and your third. You get bonus points if you spread them. Bonus points for spreading the mules across those same close patches that we talked about before. So, like I was coaching someone just last week, and every game, his main base, at like 5 minutes 30, 7 minutes, he's already lost 2 or 3 mineral patches in his main because he only drops mules on the exact same patches every game. Actually, even like 5 minutes 30, he lost 2 patches. And he dropped them on the light patches that don't have many minerals, and he dropped repeated mules on the same ones, which means they just run out, and then his SCVs have nowhere to mine from, despite there being tons of minerals available on those heavy patches. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you want to keep as many patches for as long as possible.
Yep. Maximize those SCVs, just availability. So that just is a good thing. It's not the biggest deal, but just something we might as well note down. Explain it now. It's in the notes so you can look at it later, and that'll educate you on that, which is cool. So also try to always drop all your mules when you can. I see a lot of people just drop like a mule or that sort of thing. Remember, you should always be selecting your command centers using control group 1 and going mule, mule, mule. Is that something you're doing, or do you find yourself still clicking on your command centers?
It kind of just depends on position. Sometimes I use the key for the command center. Sometimes I actually click on the physical CC.
So there's no reason to ever click on the CC. You should just
we,
never
we,
do
we
that.
have it. We have it as one. We might as well use it.
Yeah, it's also just about training the habit, right? So if we get in the habit of clicking on them, it kind of just like spreads out your mechanical practice, right? On the muscle memory of selecting the hotkey. So, you know, make sure we break old habits, like clicking on structures, right? You know, replace that with clicking and shift plus numbering immediately, you know, on construction, which makes a huge difference. Awesome, man. All right, so we're going to do TVZ. It's going to be BCs, right? Off this opening. So,
That's the plan.
talking about that, what the hell goes down next? Let me go down to our little build order here. Okay. BC into 2 base tank branch. So we're adding some notes here. So obviously we want to drop a fusion core right now. And then after this Viking goes and hunts down some overlords, I guess we can obviously swap that on the tech lab and start building a BC or 2, right? So because we're doing a 2 base all in, normally this is around the same point you'd be dropping a 3rd command center, but we're doing a 2 base all in. So we can start gases up on our natural in the near future. We can then go steadily up the barracks count, right? We can build a new tech lab on the barracks so it can start stim and then shields, and we can get 4 more barracks to round out our production, right? So then we have 4 more barracks that'll build reactors on themselves. The 1 barracks that's going to build a new tech lab is going to make stim and shields. At some point, the starport can swap onto a reactor and build medevacs. After the BCs are done, the factory can swap onto a tech lab and build siege tanks. And then you've got your marine tank setup. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, so fusion core. Swap port on tech lab. So we can do it this way. If you look at your notes, basically what you do is notice I'll do these little indentations in the notations. Do you see where I'm typing?
I do, yes.
So we'd go 2 times BC is what we're planning. We might change that to just 1. We might go up to 3. We'll see. And then we will swap onto reactor, medevac production, right? Okay, cool. So who knows? When does the factory swap off and start building, add-ons and stuff? Well, we can figure that out. Now, for you right now, we're going to keep it really easy, which is your factory just keeps building Hellions and... diving Hellions in with the BCs. The whole idea is it's a real momentum opening. Where it's like, I threw 4 Hellions away in Killer Match. Here's another 6 Hellions diving at the same time as BCs are flying around, right? This massively slows down your barracks and your big attack hitting later, but it's about embracing chaos and throwing our opponent off and just throwing them into a bit of a chaotic situation. So we're doubling down on that. Now it's also making things a bit easier for us. Why? Because it will swap onto Tech Lab, switch with Starport, right? So basically at the time the Starport swaps off after it's done doing BCs, they can just swap add-ons and you're like, oh, cool, that's easy. That's just nice and simple. Now what makes that good is we want to go 4 barracks all at once and then all build reactors. Now what's good about that is you can at one moment, when you have at least 600 minerals, just box the SCVs in your main, go build 4 barracks in a line, queue them back to minerals, come back a minute later, cool, they're all done, tell them all to build reactors, it's done. Too many players like, I'll build 1 barracks, cool, I'll come back later, build a reactor, oh, I'll build 1 more barracks. You end up basically drowning yourself in mundane actions when you could have just done it all at once, right? It's like that person spends maybe 7 times as much APM and actions and attention just getting their 5 barracks set up, whereas we're like, wait till I have 600 minerals, drop 4 barracks, build reactors a bit later. Didn't take a lot of time, right? So batching things up like that, especially when we want to lean into harassment and spend all of our APM running BCs and Hellions around and fucking our opponent up, we don't want to be trying to swap every barracks onto a reactor and doing fancy shit like that and coming back, building 1 barracks later, build another barracks. We want it to be one timer where we throw down 4 barracks, one timer where we build 4 reactors, and from there it's super easy. It's just hold down that marine key. So batching things up to make it easier, that's something that's really important for us to do to improve as a player. Does that make sense?
It does, yes.
Awesome. So even if you start copying Big Gabe build orders or something, don't fucking copy everything he does. Batch shit up to make it easier for yourself. This is the biggest thing I'm trying to impart to most Terran players out there, because I watch a lot of people trying to do specials build order or something, or Big Gabes, and they're juggling add-ons like a madman. And I'm like, dude, you're floating 1,500 minerals. This is so fucking stupid. Like, there is a player out there who's really bad at Terran who will build 7 barracks at once, build a bunch of tech labs and reactors and do it more efficiently just because, they're getting more done elsewhere on the map, right? So don't make things unnecessarily complicated. And that's the exact same thing I like to do when I do this sort of all in. So when do we take the gases on the natural is a question. I think you've got enough gas for BCs here because you're building them one at a time and all else you're building is Hellions. When do we build? I imagine we'd want to get 1 engineering bay to get an upgrade as well. Engineering bay for +1 attack, right? That's going to help a lot with our biotank later. But what order does this happen? What order do we go for the 3rd plus 4th gas? The 4 barracks, the engineering bay. I don't fucking know is the answer. This is not me necessarily quizzing you, but what do you think sounds good in terms of those 3 things? 3rd and 4th gas, then the 4 barracks, then the engineering bay, then the 4 barracks. What sounds good?
I think I'd probably drop the barracks before the gas just so I can get some sort of production moving.
Cool. Do we maybe want to go 3rd and 4th gas plus engineering bay, kind of chain them together to try to make sure we remember both at the same time?
Yeah, exactly. Just so we can clump it together, so we can build, racks to this. So I know I have to do the 2 the 2 gas and then the engineering bay all at once.
You might find it doesn't line up for some reason, so that's fine. Like, I'm doing this all the time. I don't have a BC Hellion into 2 base tank build memorized, right? The important thing is we see, no, I don't have enough gas. Well, we just shift it. Okay, we'll do double gas eBay, then add the 4 barracks. Like, it's usually pretty simple, but we can very easily shift these things around. The important thing is to always follow the same order. So there is inherent push and pull in StarCraft between we want to be super fucking organized and set in our ways, and we also want to be super fucking flexible, right? People always are one side way too far, right? So with this, I'm saying just be flexible and change it if it needs to. But at the same time, I'm saying, I often tell people that. I come back a week, 2 weeks later, we'd meet up for another coaching session, watch 3 replays. Every replay, they do it in a different order for no fucking reason. And they're like, yeah, just change it up to what felt good. And I was like, fuck, that's bad. Because we're going to be inefficient because it's lining up different every game. Be flexible and change the standard thing if it needs to, because we're still figuring the build out. But once we figured out what works, we stick to that. We stick to that like a bee to honey, like a fly to some glue it's just fucking landed in, because it just allows us to be comfortable. So when you're driving Hellions around, I want you to really think this. Hellions are in the third. There's a BC flying around the main. You're getting fucking excited because you're burning drones, but they're also in danger of surrounding your Hellions and killing them. You don't want to lose your BC. You don't want to at that moment be like, fuck, what do I do? Oh shit, maybe I'll get the gases and the eBay faster this time. We want it to be something that's so automated. You're like, I know with my build, it's time to go 4 barracks. Go home, build 4 barracks, queue the SCVs back, go back to microing your Hellions and BC, right? It's something that we don't want to ever, when we're busy microing and dealing with tactics and our opponent's maneuvers, have to like second guess ourselves or rethink the build order. And there's this real strength just having a set transition that we know is really locked down in stone. So that's going to be the big advantage that gives us. Once we get something that works, let's really stick to it there.
All right, makes sense.
I think that maps out the transition well enough. We're going to be awkward on it. We might need more definition. Right now, that just says, get a fusion core, do this with the starport, do this with the factory. At some point, we get 4 barracks and 3rd and 4th gas. You can always add more markers or more pointers where you're like, I got to remember at this point because I keep forgetting to build the barracks till I have 2,000 minerals. You can always add more details to fix any weakness with your build. But for now, let's start up that transition. So, before we start it, it's tempting to just go fusion core, blah, blah, blah. Let's queue up a couple more SCVs. Actually, you've got 3 SCVs queued on your natural 2 in the main. Let's queue up another depot immediately. Because we're going to get supply blocked in a sec. And if you want, even add another depot, since we're a little late on starting that first one.
All right. Do I want to wall off with these depots, or do I want to throw them in the main?
Yeah, let's wall off. Once you've walled off, you can throw them in the main. But we always want to wall off our natural. So wall off with your 2 depots. Start a fusion core. And then we can swap the starport and the tech lab around. So first of all, depots and start off that wall, and that should be awesome. So, ready?
Let's do it.
Game resumed.
All right, get some depots going. Then we'll start a fusion core up in the main, and then swap the starport and the tech lab over. So you always want to hide that fusion core in the back of your base if you can.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. Top right would actually be better on this map, but that's fine. Doesn't matter. Swap your starport and your tech lab around. Get ready for that BC. All right. Let's queue up more SCVs. Queue up more depots. So you only built 1 depot. You need to build more. Remember, get those 2 depot builders going. Get another one on the left of your screen. All right. Mules. Drop mules. So number 1, select. Remember, number 1. Don't ever be clicking that command center. Bad habit. It's always number 1, SCV, 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 SCV. Queue up those SCVs like crazy. Let's go, go, go. All right, get that BC going. Start building more Hellions. We should be building Hellions non-stop.
SCV ready.
Okay, keep building SCVs. All right, so let's build those 4 barracks now. So in the main base, box your SCVs on minerals, and I want you to build 4 barracks all at once. Yeah. Queue them back to mining. Got to be better on queuing those workers back to mining. Yeah.
SCV ready.
Did we queue those barracks SCVs back? And build a tech lab on your other barracks.
On the primary.
Yep. Because we've got to start stimming shields off 1 barracks. It takes a long time to get both of those upgrades on 1. Alright, finish your wall. Keep building those depots. Lower all those depots for now. And get your Hellions across the map. We'd normally be doing run-bys. Don't actually micro any run-bys. We're still working on the macro. Macro always comes first. You perfect your macro, and you literally, even if you were practicing this on ladder, we'd do it that way. Yep. We just clicked individual SCVs. We've got to get in the habit of box the SCVs, build gas, rather than individually clicking. Too many unnecessarily clicks. Extra BC, more Hellions. Go, 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 go. And remember, reactors! So what do we do? 4 reactors all at once. Let's go. Cool.
Game paused.
None of our production is control grouped right now. And this is one of those... Yeah.
It's going in big letters. Control group production.
That's got to be big. Yep. So right now, what is your? I'm looking at it. What is it again? I'm trying to remember. We're gonna have production on 4.
On 4. No,
Everything?
5. On 5. Let me take a peek real quick. I thought it was 5.
Well, that's because you were kind of moving it from the last session. So you were saying you'd moved your army hotkeys up because your worker hotkey took a control group. But this has got to be like deeply layered. Like this has got to be something that there is no question at all here. This has got to be exactly the same every game. And this is such a big fundamental that it needs to be absolutely set in stone.
Yeah, production's 4. So everything's going to 4 right now.
Okay. So that's something where the details tab in your document here is so important. Always adding production to control groups the moment the buildings start. Batching things up. So, for example, take both gases same time. To do that, box workers on mineral lane. So, obviously try to only box a handful if you only need 2 for gases or something. But if you box a few more, it doesn't matter. Box workers. Build both gases. That's it. What else could we do? Take 4 racks at once. So how would we do that? We would box about 5 or 6 workers, right? Making sure we get them all in one go so we don't waste time. We would build 4 racks, then rally back to minerals. Really important to make sure we do that all in one go and we don't get in the habit of like individually clicking workers or anything like that. And then once those barracks are down, it's like just control click them, bam, add it to the key. And right from the early game, like your first barracks, as soon as that starts, we should be boxing it, adding it to control group, right? And these are the habits that are going to be massive for you as a player. As these settle in, it's going to feel so good. All the shit you can get done, it's going to be awesome, man. For now, we're doing really good. We're talking about a shitload of concepts at once. It's going to be massive brain overload. Let's just settle back into what you're doing here. You're looking really good. You ready?
Yep, let's do it.
All right.
Game resumed.
So we need all the production on the hotkey, remember?
Ready to raise some hell.
Sure.
You don't have all the barracks on that key.
Oh, I'm missing that top one.
Yep.
Add-on complete.
It's a trap.
Stim and shields on the barracks.
Stim first.
Your call doesn't really matter. And remember, we needed to keep building depots. So your wall's done. So we need 2 depot builders in the main going non-stop.
Mineral field. Game
1 second.
paused.
Cancel there. I want you to build them over down to the right of the gas. There's usually an area on the edge where you've got a lot of space. Thing is, you want all your production usually to be on one screen. Notice how you couldn't control all your barracks there.
Yeah,
So-
because it was too high.
Too high. So rather than putting them in one row, even though I made out like one row, it's probably better to do 2 and then 2 to the left of that. And then it could have all fit on one screen. Likewise, down here to the right where you're putting your depots, perfect position for your next 3 barracks or factories or starports. So it's all kind of centralized in one area. So always try to put your depots off to the side. So over maybe to the right of that gas is a good area, and we can build them in a nice tight grid and just expand a big depot
Right.
grid there. And that way we've got space here. So this area, we always want to try to have most of our production centered on one screen. It just makes life easier for us as a Terran. It's one of those things, people who don't do that, they forget upgrades, add-ons, add-on swaps, and they forget about production, and it never gets added to hotkeys. Maybe 3 times as much as players who actually always concentrate their production. Innovation, really methodical about this, almost never misses a building or an upgrade. Someone like Maru is very haphazard, but he still doesn't miss an upgrade. Unfortunately, most of us aren't Maru. So some of the not quite as good Terrans who end up with their production all over the place, they do just forget that shit whenever the game gets hectic. And it's kind of interesting to see. So yeah, let's cancel that depot and replace that over to the right. And get both of them building those depots over there. Now, obviously, if you have a supply block, you could drop some supply drops.
Mineral field
Good to
depleted.
see you putting on gas there. We did miss one guy on one of those. Oh, yeah, there you go. You got it. Now, remember, the factory and the starport should swap. You built 2 BCs, you built a billion Hellions. So factory and starport swap around. And that just makes it easy for us. That's what I love. The AI contaminates? I had no idea. That's great. Never seen it do that. That's awesome. Good on you, very easy.
Medevac, right? Off the
Yep.
starport.
Medevac Tank Marine, that's it. And you can queue up combat shields ahead of time. It's always better to queue that 30 seconds ahead of time and not forget it than to forget it. Question, did you click in the bottom right for that upgrade?
On that one, I did.
You did. A lot of people do with the rare one-off upgrades. Try to break that habit. Do you know what hotkey it is?
Yeah, everything on the key. It's E for, or was it E or probably C?
Yeah.
Combat shield.
That's when I have a cheeky smile as I say that, because I still click down there with certain things, and every now and then chat calls me out for it, and I'm obviously too distracted to ever fix it. There's a few things I'm still really bad with that I'll click down there for. It's just unnecessary. it's not the biggest thing. It's one of the very minor details.
Well, it's just about breaking the habit.
Yeah, even one-off upgrades. Use the hotkey. Pretty easy. No worries. Okay, cool. So obviously from here, we have 3,500 minerals, 700 gas. That's kind of shit. That's fine. It's the first time talking through, and I'm talking through a lot of fundamental mechanics and habits more than anything. That's the more important thing here, is doing things the right way and building up to it. As you get practice with this build order, for instance, on the ladder, and like I said, you can do this in every matchup. So what is the way to learn this build? Because we are out of time. We've got to finish up in a minute. So I want to leave you with some pointers on how do we practice this? Now, the answer is this. First, let's say 20 games it could be less than that, right? I don't know the exact number. It's just an example. It's pure macro. So what is important? Doing things in the correct order. Internalizing the build so it is second nature. So we know exactly what comes after what, right? That's the important thing, right? Pure macro, hitting things right on time, floating no money, non-stop SCV production, no supply blocks, etc., right? So that's it. Now, you're doing a very heavy harassment build, and that's the focus. So what does that mean? So to make that work, you literally will be shift-clicking Hellions and BCs through mineral lines and A-moving them sometimes. This is really inefficient and bad, but it will do damage, especially BCs, right? Because they fly through, so they're actually not bad at that. Disrupt the opponent and still achieve some goals, right? Whilst making sure your harass does stuff. And then next 20 games, once our macro settles and feels natural, what do? Now you're allowed to micro that harass. Try to find a balance, right? Try to find a balance. So don't go from 0 bank to 5,000 bank, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be critical. If you've got 1 Hellion on Reddit points in a mineral line and there's queens and links coming, go look somewhere else. There's no point microing that, right? If you've got 4 Hellions in an undefended mineral line, even if you've got 600 minerals in the bank, you might go, you know what? I'll hold off going home to macro because I can do a crazy amount of damage if I micro this for another 10 seconds. But the important thing there is I want you to start becoming organized. So assess when the micro is worth it and when it's worth going home to spend. So if you have 2 Hellions in an undefended mineral line, no queen, no zerglings in sight, right? Riddle me this. You have 300 minerals in the bank. So you're spending your money pretty well. You've recently added some add-ons. You're going to micro, or will you just shift-click or A-move it on the drones and go back home and continue to macro? What do you think is more important in that scenario?
Well, with only 300, I'd probably assume the macro. I mean, we could deal. It's going to deal damage, but I mean, I think it's just about getting the economy up and moving.
Well, 300 minerals is not that much, though, right? If you're at the 5-minute phase, that's like a few seconds of mining. So I think micro is good, but it's good to have an idea of an actual time limit on it, right? So I think it's easy in that scenario to go like, I'll micro this for 5 or 10 more seconds, and then I'll go home and spend all my money and get my macro back on track, right? But if you've got 1,500 minerals in the bank, I would be like, fucking shift click those on 3 or 4 drones and then just let them do their thing. If your opponent doesn't react, they'll kill a bunch of shit. We'll see. But we're not even going to know. We're going to go home and spend our money right now because we've already got 1,500 minerals. So the further you are behind on your macro, the more urgent it is to go fucking build those depots and break that supply block, right? To start that next upgrade, to get those 4 barracks built. So what we want to think about is in terms of like, basically there is a scale of how much damage I can do, and there is a scale of how important is the macro that I'm missing for doing this, right? And that's why I always like this idea of do a macro cycle right before committing. So you could have your Hellions waiting, your BCs popped out, and you're like, you know what? Actually, let's not go in right now. Build SCVs, drop mules, build more Bio or Hellions, or queue up your next BC, queue some more depots, and go, okay, cool. I just spent all my money. I queued up a bunch of shit. Now let's teleport the BC in the main and run the Hellions in the third. And I'm going to just micro it for the next 30 seconds. So limit your micro time. Limit your micro time to a short, restricted period of sharp pressure. Right? 30 seconds of Hellion plus BC dive, right? Then either
Exactly.
A move them
use.
and go macro, or pull out and go macro, right? Sometimes you just pull out. You're like, I want to keep these units alive for later, but you just pull them out of the dangerous situation and go macro. Sorry, what was that?
Oh no, I was saying to myself, yeah, keep the micro for key use. Focus on macro.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, I know when I have 8 Hellions at the front and a BC comes and pops in the main, that's a valuable time to micro my fucking ass off, right? When I have 2 Hellions and a Reaper skirmishing with 2 Queens, and I'm trying to do 20 extra hit points of damage to one of those Queens, it's going to get transfused anyway, and it's going to regen. That's a fucking waste of time. Stop it. I always make fun of the horny NA Reaper, I call it, where it's just, I'm like, what is this guy doing? He's putting so much APM into his Reaper to like try and pick off 2 Zerglings at the start, which means nothing. And he's floating 600 minerals in the early game, when 600 minerals is massive in the first 3 minutes of the game, right? That's huge. So, it's like just trying to always be a little bit more pre-planned with that stuff. And I'm going to look at my fighting, and then I'm going to look at my macro and have a bit of a push and pull between those. And whenever you're the one dictating the pace of the game, you can do that really well, and you can start to get a crazy amount of shit done with your APM, where your opponent will be like, well, this guy's just way faster and better than me. Is this guy smurfing? Those are the games where your opponent starts to think you're smurfing. And you're like, oh, no. If you had Lings running into my base right now, I'd probably fall apart a bit more because I can't be as clinical with it. I'd be a bit more sloppy myself. But whenever we're allowed to take control, we do that. We dictate when to look at things. So the next 20 games, we're allowed to micro the harassment more. We're allowed to kind of really focus on that. But for now, for you, even before this hit the build order layer, is the mechanical layer. So that's even more important. So the very first priority is technique and mechanical habit, right? So for that, disciplined usage of the same mechanics. So I'm going to put the whole list in bold. I'm going to put a bold all caps title. Here we go. The most important thing list from today, okay? You see where I've got that?
Yep.
Those are the keys. We've got what your SCVs are doing, doubling up workers at the start. Those are the small ones. What are the big ones? That is 100% the most important thing right now. Adding production and units. Harass or scouting units to control groups the moment the buildings start. Here's another one. Queue worker to scout on minimap and return home to mine in one action set at the start. Don't waste your time looking at that worker scout multiple times. Just queue it to go scout the main, come home, go back to mining. We can glance at the scouting later. Batching things up, control group Reaper, etc. All that shit is nice, but just adding things to hotkeys and then just that's going to be the biggest one, right? Really just adding things to hotkeys, setting rally points, and making sure your SCVs are going to do their tasks ahead of time. Like I said, that depot SCV builds depot, builds barracks, builds factory, builds starport, starts your depot wall, and then non-stop builds depots for the rest of the game. Having shit like that ironed out from the very start is amazing. It's awesome. Actually, it's a different SCV. That one builds the command center, sorry. But then factory SCV is the one that builds starport and starts depot production. There we go. Fix that. Awesome, man. All right, that's a big list of shit to work on. So, as always, open this document up. Make sure you got this favorited, bookmarked. I want you to reread these notes tomorrow when your brain is fresh, because I've just thrown 1,000 different details at you. But it's on you to stay disciplined and go, all right, we're really focusing on just those things in bold for a few days. I'll try to get down this Hellion BC into Biotank build, maybe even do it in all 3 matchups, just so you have a really simple game plan so you can focus on the mechanics and the techniques. So we're not focusing on our opponent. We're focusing purely on doing it ourselves. And you could even take up this build practicing the build like in this game. And you could do this for even an hour each day and just focus on hotkeying structures straight away, using the right hotkeys, quickly, okay, shift 1, shift 2, etc. Adding things to those control groups and just getting used to all that will probably give you a big benefit.
All right, fantastic. Definitely going to focus on the bold. And I am definitely going to take that to heart as far as just playing against all 3 races, the same thing, just so I can get down.
Awesome sauce, mate. All right, good session there. Definitely take at least, I think, a few days to a week to practice. Hit me up in a few days, and we will see what we can do.
All
for
right,
now,
sounds good.
Thanks for hanging, man. Have a good night.
Appreciate it. Yep, you too. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, guys.